So hi everyone, my name is Raunak Parmar and welcome to the first session which is on from HTML injection to full AWS takeover. So in this talk I will be basically going to take you to a walkthrough of one of the pen tests from which I was able to perform an basic HTML injection and escalated it to a complete AWS account takeover of one of the biggest client in USA. So, about me, my name is Raunak Parmar. I'm also known as Trouble1 as my hacker name. I used to be a DJ and a music producer for last like 3 or 4 years. And before coming into the stream, I was in a commerce background. I was doing banking degrees and all stuff. I currently work as a senior cloud security engineer at White Knight Labs. My area of interest mainly is into application security, source code review, programming the applications, vulnerable labs, and majorly focusing on Azure security. This is one of the tools you can see, Vajra. So Vajra is basically an offensive pen testing tool, mainly focused on the Azure environment, where you have a lot of features to perform the red team stuff, scans, enumeration attacks, and things. I've also been a speaker at a lot of different conferences like Black Hat, DEF CON, NullCon, RootCon, HITV, LayHack, HackRedCon, HackSpaceCon. There are tons of conferences. And yeah, this is all about me. So let's begin. So it started with just a PDF to becoming an oops, and we are now into your cloud. So this journey begins where, if you observe, there are a lot of applications who has a lot of features. For example, some medical applications, some college applications, which allows you to dump any data within a file. Maybe it can be your invoice form or some application form or some receipts or something similar to that. Ideally, you might think like, okay, there's what can go wrong in a PDF file. You might have certain access, certain privilege of having your user input within those files. But you might think like in a PDF, what can majorly you can do? Maybe some basic HTML manipulation, right? But well, this thing can go much wrong if the developers are not properly using some of the generators, which are the PDF generators. So here you can see these are some of the generators which allows you to convert your HTML content to a PDF file. So some of the generators like VZPrint, MPDF, WKHTML to PDF and stuff. So now these can be dangerous, but depending on how a developer is programming his applications, what user inputs is he accepting from the user, what kind of sanitizations is it doing, what kind of rejects is it allowing, and all those stuff. So first we'll understand what is SSRF, what it is, what it can do. So basically, someone who doesn't know what is an SSRF. So it's an application vulnerability where a user or an attacker is able to create an HTTP request from the server, not from the client side, but from the server. And that HTTP request can connect to all those IP addresses or domains that a backend server can access. Now, these can also be your private IPs or some your internal files or maybe some internal service, maybe your FTP, your SMTP, right? So those can be accessed directly. So yeah, so in the backend, you just send a localhost URL, and the backend says, okay, you are just one of us. So just grab the data, and it sends you all the data for you. So what more can we do? Can we just access it? Yeah, but it also allows you to bypass all the firewall restrictions, all the network restrictions, because you're not directly accessing that URL publicly, but you are telling your proxy server, which is the application, a vulnerable application, that go on, grab the URL, or grab the data of that URL, and send it again to me. So the firewall is completely useless in this case, right? And generally, these attacks are found within the PDF generators, within the image fetchers, or some API calls which is vulnerable to these kinds of issues. Maybe some URL is trying to get a ping server, like if it's you're using ping in the background. So in that case, you can abuse those things. So these are some of the HTML tags that can be used. For example, IMG, where you can see there is a SRC. That means if you're using SRC attribute, it will again call some HTTP request, right? Then in the link, there is a href where you can call the external files, maybe or CSS or style or some random files. And if, let's say, if the application is doing some regex and not allowing you the brackets, you can abuse this CSS code, which directly helps you to call the URL. Then you have this iframe script, and in those cases, you can again, if the application is been hosted in the EC2 instance or Lambda, or can say the AWS some stuff. The Azure virtual machines are there. So in that case, you can use this metadata URL to directly fetch the credentials from the application. So let's the game begin. So this was all the introduction about the SSRF and the PDF a little bit. Now I will take you to how I performed the pen test, what I first identified, how I escalated it, and what was the story behind that. So first, the application, where, I had some form where I can add some name. I won't be able to tell you what kind of data, but I just assume there is a name that I can add. And in the name, I was just trying to add this H1 name. And when I downloaded this PDF file, I observed that the name was in the big format, bold and a big format. So in that way, I identified, OK, there is an HTML injection. But generally, if there is some bug bounty hunters or maybe some noob pen testers, they would ideally just report this, and they would not do any more further escalations. But, so yeah, these were some of the dangerous tags, which I can also be using it. But yeah, just for the confirmation, if there is an HTML injection, I just tried this one. So how you can confirm if there is an SSRF or not? Simple, just try to play around with different tags like IMG tag, SVG tag, iframe, script, link. There are a lot of different tags. And with that, if you get a hit, something like this, so you know that, OK, my payload, that worked. But if you observe closely the user agent, you will see that I also got the name of the framework which was using by the application. Can you see VZprint 51? Just want you to know, does anyone know VZprint? Some attacks which was done around 5 years ago? No one, OK. So when I saw this VZprint 51, this meme directly came into my mind that I know this thing, I have seen this, and this was a classic. Why? Because 5 years ago, what I was doing was I was still learning basics of application, what is like trying to read a lot of different write-ups, watching bug bounty videos, write-ups, and all the stuff, trying to build vulnerable labs. And that time, there was a video was launched by the stock and the NAMSEC where they hacked the Lyft applications, where they observed that when they download this receipt or some invoice, in that there was a vulnerable input which allows them to play around with the HTML tags. So if you observe this third one in this side, you will see there is some link and some HTML code injected. So in this way, they were identified that, OK, there is some kind of vulnerability, but they have to escalate it. And when even in the screenshot, you can see even Namsek explained that he got this VZprint 51 in the response. So he did some research and find out that there is a tag which can be abused to directly get the internal data within the PDF metadata file. So while I was learning this thing, I tried to learn how this actually worked, because I can't just go on and read the document and, OK, I learned it. No, I tried to recreate the whole vulnerability again in my application. I created the whole video on my YouTube channel. You can see it's almost 5 years ago. So I replicated the same lab. And because I know thoroughly how the vulnerability works, what went wrong, and when I saw that, I know that this is going to work for me. So you can see this link. I injected this link, which is a link where rel is equal to attachment, and gave the internal file, which was proc self environment. So this basically stores all your environment variables. I won't say all the environment variables, but yeah, the main environment variables like your AWS credentials, especially, is being stored within this file. So in SSRF, you cannot run the commands, right? But you can grab the internal data. So in this way, I was able to inject this payload. And when I did it, so this basically what we'll do is just grab the internal file and store the data of that file within the PDF metadata content. So you won't be able to see in the PDF file, but it's somewhere stored or hidden within the metadata of that PDF files. So here you can see when I injected that input, the name of the PDF was not been sanitized, not validated, nothing. There is no rate limiting. Like no kind of like it's completely like blindly they're accepting any kind of inputs, because of which I was able to pass this payload. And here, this is the script which was used to grab those metadata content, because you cannot see the metadata content, which is the internal file content in the PDF file. You have to decompress it and get the code within this stream name. Like you have a stream up and down, and within that, you have all the content. So when you run this code, you will see data something like this. So you can see I just run this Python dc.py and the PDF file name, which is .pdf. And within here, you can see it just gave me all the environment variables, which contains AWS session token, ID, key, and all the stuff. Well, what I did, I just logged in with the credentials. So this is the second stage of escalation. So from here, I cannot just directly run the AWS configure, because in the AWS configure, you cannot provide directly the session key. So I just updated the /.aws credentials file. This is the file where all the credentials is stored of your AWS, of your different profiles as well. So I just created this similar name and pasted all the environment variables. And now, if you observe this, when I run this AWS STS get caller identity, the name of the IAM is Lambda S3 full access. So what would you think? Like, okay, this user might just have full access on AWS and Lambda. But, well, it's not like what you see. It's more than that. I was actually able to even create a new user directly, because when we try to enumerate, we find out that user is not just an admin on the S3 and Lambda. It was an admin on whole AWS account, which was being used by the application, which is pretty dumb. So I created a new account. I created a new profile. So in AWS, if you create an IAM user, you cannot directly access the AWS console. You have to create a login profile. Only then you as a user would be able to access the AWS console only. So I created this login profile and attached the administrative access. You can see in the second line, I attached the administrative access, and now I became the admin. So here you can see the monthly expense of the account was $90,000 a month. And they were using virtual machines with around 256 GB of RAM, damn expensive stuff was going on. So now I've owned the cloud. I've owned the cloud, but I didn't stop till here. Ideally, people would have just stopped it. Okay, I'm done. But I wanted to see if there's any more way. What if I didn't found this application? What if I didn't found this vulnerability? What if I didn't found this VZprint stuff? So I tried to dig again from scratch, from the beginning. I again went back and to see if there's any more PDF files being created or not. So I found one more place where the PDF file was being created. And this time, the framework is different. It's WK-HTML PDF. So I was like, OK, I don't know about this one. But since I have the payload, I tried to do the same. So I tried to do the same, but that didn't work for me, because it's a different generator. If the ecosystem is different, code is different, so that won't work. So I tried to play around with the tags. I tried to run a lot of different stuff, but that didn't work. So I quickly just did some quick Google and found this complete payload in one of the GitHub issues. Some random guy just created the issue within the WK-HTML PDF repositories, and you can see this code where it's not doing anything fancy, just trying to run this XML HTTP request and trying to just fetch the file. So I just copy-pasted this, created it properly, and since I know that the application is running in the Lambda functions, so I just tried to grab the default file, which is by default created by the Lambda, and this was the one, which is aws_lambda.py. And when I use this value while upgrading some data, so this was the whole request, the API request you can see, and when that was executed, I can see the whole data within the PDF. But it is there, but you cannot see, but it's not clearly visible. So nothing simple, just click on Control-Alt, copy, go to Notepad, and paste it, and you see the whole code directly here. So this was a different approach. So if so again, the story begins. Again, you can again. I could have again tried to steal some more source code files, dump some credentials, maybe some SQL credentials or some different type of data, and could have escalated on a different environment as well. But since I already own the cloud, so I just stopped till here. And yeah, this was again the ECT password. I was able to grab that as well. And so this was the story of the latest pen test which I did. But this is not the first time I ever compromised a cloud environment. When I did my first ever pen test of my life, which was in 2022, I did compromise the whole AWS account. And that time, the company had around $1,200 of bill per month. So the journey started where I did some simple brute forcing into the application and found this .git folder. Within that .git folder, I found a file which was kind of, having some dirty ASCII values which had the routing as well. So by just running the string command and got all the routes, and there were around 1,300 routes. So I just again wrote a simple command, a simple script which allowed me to find out the valid routes and found one route which basically had this LFI vulnerability. So the thing was that when I executed that URL, it again gave me a response like you are missing the file name and the path. So I gave the path again like the self-proc environment and gave the name. And that file got uploaded within the S3 bucket, and S3 bucket link was publicly accessible, which I was able to access that link and got the file. And within that file, I again found some credentials, but that was not so useful. So I tried to get the internal file of the application, which was config.php, which allowed me to grab the AWS credentials again. And even that was named as S3 admin. But because that IAM user was added within a group, and that group was an admin, indirectly I become an admin as well. So I again created a new account, got logged in and stuff. But I didn't stop till yet. I did the source code review. I even found the second-order SQL injections, some RFI issues, and around 6 to 7 critical issues there. But yeah, this was again the first pen test and the whole AWS account takeover of my journey. So common stuff observed in both the pen tests. So in the first, you can see the IAM directly had the full access, but the name was just S3 admin. And in the second one, it was not directly an admin, but because it was added in a group, it became an admin indirectly. So yeah, how can we identify this? If you are an application pen tester, just do the same thing. Try to inject any tags which can allow you to get a response into your Burp collaborator or maybe your webhook.site or somewhere in your logs, and try to see if you can at least try to steal any PDF generator framework names. And if once you have the name, try to see if there is any exploit available. Just try to Google it and see. You would probably be able to find some exploits, and that should work. Mainly for the cloud engineers who are blindly just providing any roles. Please make sure that you don't provide any access roles. If the application only needs to upload a file, just make sure that you only have the permissions to upload a file, not even read, not even listing, or not even a delete. Upload, then it should be only upload. So you should have at least least privileges assigned to any IAM. And this ends with a quote. So the dev said, don't worry, it's just a PDF rendering. And I said, don't worry, I'm just printing your infrastructure. And that's it.